The live is on.
Okay. All right, I would like to welcome everyone to the January 13th, 2021 Board of Education organizational meeting. Mr. Lockwood, if you could please do a roll call.
Yes. Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Ominski? Here. Mr. Mush?
Here.
Mrs. Geiger?
Here.
Mrs. Kovac?
Here. If everyone would please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I need a request for nomination of president. Mr. Mush, if you're making that request, I need you to hit the mute button. There you go.
I'll nominate Ev Harris for board president.
Second. Mr. Mush?
Yes.
Mr. Ominski? Yes. Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, the motion carries.
And at this time, we need a nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate Rachel Geiger for vice president.
Second. Mr. Mush?
Yes.
Mr. Ominski? Yes. Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations, Rachel.
Congratulations, Mr. Harris and Mrs. Geiger. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Harris.
Okay, at this time then we'll go to Mr. Geha for the organizational information.
Do I do that part or does the president?
You, usually the superintendent reads those down one line at a time.
Okay.
And with this, you already gave us the establishment of the dates for the coming years, so we can vote on those.
Excellent. So item 1, you have in front of you a calendar for 2021 of all of our meetings.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed meeting dates for both study and regular Board of Education meetings as presented.
Second.
Mr. Mush?
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mr. Ominski? Yes. Mrs. Kovac?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. Item 2 is the appointment of a board member as the legislative liaison representative.
Well, there should be no reason why not to continue that for myself, since I've done that for the last several years, but I will do that.
Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
Second.
Mrs. Kovac?
Yes.
Mr. Mush?
Yes.
Mr. Ominski?
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. Item 3 is the appointment of a student achievement liaison.
That's the information I send on to you monthly to update everything and what's going on with students across the state. That I had that previous. Does anybody else want to volunteer for that?
Well, if you don't want it, doesn't matter.
Okay. Need a motion for Rachel?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 4 is the appointment of our general counsel, Spangler Nathanson.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Item 5 is to appoint Squire Patton and Boggs as bond counsel and Dinsmore Shaw also as bond counsel.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes. Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6 is to appoint a records commission. So we would need someone to participate on that team as a representative of the board.
Right, that's the president, the treasurer, the superintendent, is that correct?
That's correct.
We need a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Item 7 is a representative that would sit on the Penta board.
I don't mind doing that. When I did it before, it's just hard because their meetings are the same as ours generally, but I can try to communicate with them unless you want to do it again, Rachel. I know this past year was kind of the same situation.
Yeah. Nope. I'm motion to nominate Sherry Kovac.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
I think Rick seconded it.
Oh, all right.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
yes, the motion carries.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and the treasurer as it relates to the board's obligations under the Ohio Public Records Act.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Oh, so I'll second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Chelminsky,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
And those are all of the items for the organizational component of our meeting. Our next item of commendation, and we actually have provided one to all of you, and we had those sent to your homes. January is when we typically recognize all of the board members. But when you talk about this year and everything that you've done and that we've all gone through together, we can only say thank you for all of your efforts and all of your support in guiding SLS through this COVID struggle. Your support has been valued. It's been excellent. And every time we've called or emailed, you have answered right away. So thank you very much for all you're doing. I know that you get calls and emails in a typical year. And this year, I'm sure that has tripled, if not beyond that. So thank you for all of your help and your support. I'd like to thank Sherry Kobach also for her time as president. She presided over SLS during a year of COVID pandemic. And the amount of time that we spent together talking and planning and troubleshooting, I thank you for all of that and all of your time, everything that you put into SLS, the stress that goes along with that. So thank you, Sherry Kobach.
Thank you.
And Ev Harris, as we head into your presidency, those same challenges are here every day still. So I look forward to working with you and everybody as we get through this for SLS. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
Thank you. Under item 1A, ask for your approval of the 2021 membership with the Ohio School Boards Association at an annual cost of $7,706.
So moved.
So moved. I'll second.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mrs. Kobach?
Yes.
Mr. Helminski?
Yes.
Mr. Mush?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, motion carries.
Under item B, I ask for your approval of the creation of the Robert Doc Holloway Memorial Scholarship Fund, which will be funded at 0079022. This scholarship fund was kind of developed by Marty and Mrs. Holloway, and Marty and the Holloway family have already collected over $5,000 for this fund. So I think it'll be $1,000 scholarship, and right now it will last at least 5 years.
Wow.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mush?
Yes.
Mr. Helminski?
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mrs. Kobach?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes, motion carries. Bennett's report.
So SLS will be heading back into their hybrid model beginning Tuesday, January 19th. We had been asked by the health department to go online through January 11th, but we had already determined ourselves that we would go online through the 19th, and some have asked why. So we determined to do that because it's essentially the 14-day time frame after all of our holidays, after New Year's Day, because that's that time that people can quarantine, keep to themselves before we effort to bring kids and staff back together. All year, our teachers have operated from their classrooms. And we will have everybody back together under the hybrid model on Tuesday, the 19th. What I want to suggest is that we monitor that through January and see how we are successfully operating transportation, custodial, food service, and our teachers when it comes to being able to open up and operate safely and effectively. One of the greatest concerns is, do we have enough staff to operate a K through 5, a 6 through 8, and a 9 through 12? Do we have enough staff to transport our kids safely. And we want to monitor that in January. That has been a struggle for us before the holidays and just for any institution across the country at this time. So I will update you continually about how we're doing and then look at opportunities come February to grow who we have in class and what we can do educationally. So I will always let you know how we're doing, what our absences are, and our attendance rates. There is a vaccine plan that we have, though through the country and Ohio, it is very slow right now. But our plan is in place to vaccinate our staff on campus whenever we're told that we will have vaccines. And we have that plan that you have seen and that I can show anybody that asks. My guess is that we won't have vaccines for Springfield staff probably till the end of February. I hope that they come sooner, but right now that's what we're prepared to do. So I will let you know once I hear from the health department. I do sit with them again tomorrow at noon to hear any other updates from our health department. One of our changes as we bring back everybody on Tuesday is that we are going to stop temping our children as they exit a bus or as they walk into the school. So we had temped every kid that way in the fall, and we didn't catch a whole lot at all, actually. We will still tempt kids when they show themselves to be ill or they appear to be ill when they're in class. But we will not tempt them as they exit the bus or as they exit the facility in the AM hours when we begin school. One of the things that we are successful in accomplishing is to transport our high school kids. So we have communication going out tonight to all parents that says we will begin to transport our high school kids Tuesday, January 26th. So there's info in an email and an instant alert that will go out tonight to all parents, and further come from their principal next week. Okay. So I just wanted to share those updates with you as we begin to open everything up on Tuesday, the 19th. Any questions about anything I've shared?
Matt, are we still encouraging parents to tempt kids before they come to school?
Yes, there's a packet that's going to go out tonight that shares everything that we want accomplished before they choose to send their kid on the bus or drop them off at school. And it also provides them a checklist to do that from their home.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I will go on with our agenda. Item 2A, are contracts and changes for OPSI and SCA. The first one is Pam Corey. Pam is going to go away from transportation, and she will be part of our grounds maintenance crew. And then a change for Lori Schlegel as well.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, and motion carries.
Item 2B is a supplemental contract for our new SRO at SHS. As she helps us with security and after-school events.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item 2C, if I can get this out. As you can tell, I'm having a very hard time talking tonight. Item 2C, our pupil activity contracts for our certified staff. You'll see that we have a girls basketball coach on there as well. We had one that had to resign, and one of our volunteer coaches jumped up to help with that. Mark Geiger as a wrestling coach, Eric Knapp and Caitlin Mann assisting with cheerleading.
A motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
I abstain.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. Item 2D, our resignations and retirements from SLS. You have seen Chris Smith's on there, and all we had done is change her effective date, but you have already seen it.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item 2E are substitutes that we are hiring to help us in the classrooms.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item 2F is an after-school homework program that was created just before the holiday vacation. And they are assisting our K-5 children as requested with homework in the evenings. And these are contracts for that homework evening help.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item 2G are teams that we created 2 years ago as we worked through certain items of SLS. The facilities and grounds, curriculum and testing, safety and technology, transportation and food service, and then finance and master planning. There was a suggestion to hold to those. If anyone would like to throw that out there or offer any other suggestions.
Well, I was on the facility and grounds. I'd like to stay on that, but I don't think we met near enough. I've only met once in the last 2 years on anything. So we really, if we're going to have these committees, we need to be part of them.
I think it's a good idea to have the committees, but since in 2020, we really didn't meet because of COVID and all of the restrictions, I thought it might be a good idea if we just stay on the same committees and then change beginning next year, and it would be, or the end of this year, it'd be on a 2-year rotation, which would coincide with the board elections. So if it just make for a cleaner time to switch if you're on it or not on whichever one. So thoughts?
I agree with Ken. That would be an ideal time to do it.
So moved.
Fine with me.
All right, Rick.
Second.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Excellent. Item 2H, recommendation of the superintendent to approve the job description for the Director of Safety Services.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. Item I is very similar to that. It's where we are adding the Director of Safety Services to our admin pay schedule. And I would need approval to update that admin pay schedule.
So moved.
Second. Oh, go ahead. Take her.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. In front of you is a contract for Ring Central, which is a new telephone contract for SLS.
What makes this different than the one we had?
You want me to?
Yeah,
But-
whoever knows how to answer that.
So this one allows, currently, one of the best things, if you remember our previous tech director, Jason Dugan, what did was convert to digital phone systems. And so that allowed us to put phones in nearly every building or every classroom and every room and every building across the district. From a safety standpoint, from a feature standpoint, it allows our teaching staff to be able to make calls without having to go to the office to do those types of things. Unfortunately, there's been some limitations as we found out in the COVID world or the pandemic world in terms of how voicemails get transferred, and this new Ring Central has an ability to be able to have voicemails sent digitally to emails and sent all over the place. And it has the ability to accept and send text messaging, which is obviously pretty popular with a lot of people nowadays. So we asked our previous provider if they could come up with a solution to do a lot of that, and unfortunately they could not. And so Mr. Corey Cantu investigated, and Ring Central was what it is, and it's slightly cheaper than what we're currently paying now.
That's the best thing yet. Do we need a motion for that?
We did.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yes.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item K is some professional development that will be occurring virtually for everybody on item 2K.
So
Need a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries.
Item 3, I'm actually going to invite Jerry Bell to sit in front of my computer to give you an update on the advisory council that he has taken over. if you recall, Dana Falkenberg had that when she was in the curriculum office. And now Jerry Bell will give you an update on the advisory council with Springfield Schools.
Good evening. The Business Advisory Council was created a year ago, and with Mrs. Falkenberg and several of our community members. We have continued that. We've already held our first meeting, which was November 23rd. The mission statement for us is to create opportunities for all Springfield students to be exposed to, engaged in, and prepared for a successful transition to a career field that meets the needs of our community. In our meeting, we were discussing the needs of our area businesses. How has the pandemic changed? What skill set our kids need to be able to come into the workforce beyond graduation. Our members that were in that at the time were Tammy Norris, Mike Langendorfer, Bob Bobak, Lynn Eicher, and then we have also invited Chip Warner as well. He was not in attendance, but our conversation was really based around how has the pandemic really taken a toll on area businesses, and then what is it that we need to do to help our students be ready for the workforce in the future. So we are going to be holding meetings. We have 3 more scheduled throughout the year, and each of those meetings will be centered around how to educate our kids and prepare them for the real world beyond graduation. And we've had several conversations about industry recognized credentialing, forming some partnerships with area businesses for our students to work in, and do kind of like a co-op opportunity with these area businesses. This group of people that we are meeting with our high school staff and middle school staff is tremendous group of people to be working with. And I feel like they are going to really help us prepare our kids for the future as we get into, the 2021 here and getting our seniors to understand what it's going to take to be in the workforce with the appropriate skill sets.
Any questions for Jerry?
Questions for me? All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good night.
Item 4, safety and security. I do have some items I can share with you also in executive session as we prepare to open up, and some of the procedures that we're putting in place for safety and security outside of the COVID world. But I do need an executive session for some legal matters.
Who's going to give that?
I'll motion that we go to executive session for matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or rules or state statutes.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries. We have an executive session.
All right, I will turn off our live stream so those watching can actually keep their stream open. And when we are out of executive session, I'll turn that live stream back on. So for my team, the live stream is We are live and out. Before we conclude tonight's gathering, what I forgot to say in my update earlier is that we have openings in the transportation department. We are in need of drivers, whether they have an actual route or they would be a substitute. So if anybody on this call can share that, you can apply through our webpage or by calling or stopping by our central office at 6900 Hall Street. So we are in need of drivers, whether it's a route or a substitute. We're also in need of food service as well. We have several positions open, K-12, because operating education K-12 is not just a classroom. We're a small town or city, and we transport kids. We service children in so many different ways. And part of opening up and operating safely is providing all of those services to all of our children. So we are hiring food service as well. You can apply online, call, or stop by central office to do that. So thank you. That's all I have.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
You want to call roll, Ryan, or just,
He's on mute. You're on mute, Ryan.
you're on mute, Ryan.
Hi, Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.